Hey everybody, it's Leigh, and as promised, I'm here to talk about more aspects of emotional abuse. And what I want to talk about today is a book that I have here called Psychopath Free. It's by a guy named Jackson McKenzie, and it has recovering from emotionally abusive relationships with narcissists, sociopaths, and other toxic people. This is a really thorough book that has so many eye-opening things that I really urge you to get the book on Audible or get the paperback. It's pretty easy to read, and I think that if you are wondering, is this the kind of relationship I'm in, or am I just crazy? Or even after you're divorced and you're thinking, something's just not right. Or maybe you're in the middle of this situation and you're thinking, something's not right. This book is really great. So there are, according to Jackson, we've got some red flags for spotting psychopaths. So every day I'm going to talk about one. And I told you I'm going to do a series, and that's for you, because I think when we're in these relationships, we don't quite recognize it. And so learning more about a toxic relationship can help you because you can identify what's going on. It can empower you to take steps to get out of it. It can really make a difference in your life if you know what's happening to you. So the first one I'm going to talk about is gaslighting and crazy making. So gaslighting is termed because of a movie many years ago, I think, that was about a woman who was gaslight. Her husband was gaslighting her. So what that means is they tell you something that happened, or something happened, and then they say that never happened, or they may accuse you of saying something and you know that you never said it. And sometimes when you hear this, if you've been in a relationship for a while and you may think, am I forgetting something that I said? Or maybe you rack your memory, or maybe maybe you told somebody about it and then you ask them and you think, am I crazy? Because you can't remember ever saying that, or the other person did or said what you're accusing them of, but they will just not acknowledge it. They'll say, I never said that. Or, I don't know what you're talking about. That didn't happen. And I know that it seems kind of silly because you're thinking, yeah, that happened. Sometimes you're looking at your phone, you're looking at your text message to determine, have I lost my mind? Or you're looking through your emails, or you're racking your brain to who's right, who's wrong. That's why it's called crazy making, because you perfectly valid what you said, or what they've said, but they've twisted it until you don't know you don't know if you said it, you don't know if you didn't say it, because of course if this is somebody that you love, somebody you're in a relationship with, you don't expect them to be trying to make you feel like you've lost your mind. I'm not even saying that they're doing it purposefully, but the end result is you don't feel like you can count on what you know or what you believe, because they're casting doubt about it. So when you have this situation where you're constantly questioning yourself, that's called gaslighting or crazy making. If you can't rely on the words that you said, because the other person will say, you never told me that. And I, as an attorney who's practiced law a long time, it also can be a place where people tell a lot of half-truths. Like, for instance, if they are having a relationship with somebody else and they go out to dinner with them, or they stay late or whatever, and then they'll say, oh, well, I told you that I was going to go out with such and such, or I told you we were going to be late, and you're like, no, you didn't tell me that. And so you start to question yourself and question your own sanity around, did this happen or did this not happen? Or maybe somebody told you something about the relationship. For instance, maybe somebody said something cruel to you or something that really hurt your feelings, and and you said, well, remember when you told me this? And they'll say, I never said that. It's funny when I'm talking to myself. I'm making myself feel crazy just listening to it. So this is one of the red flags, that you can't really count on what you say, or the person can't remember it, or they're saying you didn't say that, or things of that nature. Hey, Wendy. So I just want you to pay attention. Start writing down, maybe. I read recently about a calendar that someone that was in an emotionally abusive relationship began to write down the things that were said, the things that happened, and the way that they felt in that relationship. So I think that chronicling and journaling about what's happening, if you're not sure, especially if you're in a situation where you're divorced from your spouse and they're emotionally abusive, then chronicling and journaling and putting things in the calendar are going to be your saving grace when it comes back to navigating the situation with your children, or the situation with finances, because you're going to want to know, and you can't count on them to tell you what you've said or to acknowledge what they've said. So the best thing to do is to keep as much written proof as you possibly can to prove your case. So that's all I have for today. And tomorrow we're going to be talking about if you have to say, if you have to try to remind them to think of how you're feeling. So we'll talk about that tomorrow, and we may talk about them being very hypocritical. So if you've been gaslighted before, then you're not alone, and you're not really crazy. So have a good day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.